I'm going to perform some basic coding. And as I said in the previous clip, if coding's not your thing, then you can just ignore this particular segment, which may apply to a lot of you, because I don't know anybody that's really into coding. So in this particular exercise, I'm going to do it locally first, and then later on I'll demonstrate how the files are actually uploaded using the CyberDuck application. So the main thing you need if you're going to be doing it locally is to pick a directory or a folder that you're going to work from. And this is the random folder that I'm selecting right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a notepad file, since I kind of like Notepad, but it's going to have a little twist to it. I'm not too sure if I can do a HTML. I'm going to try to do HTML first, and if that turns out to be a text document, then I'll have to kind of change that later on. But let's give it a simple number like 01.html. See if that'll work. Okay, it looks here, when I'm looking at the type, it says text document, so that means that it didn't take it as an HTML file. So in a minute I'm going to do my workaround on that. What about just calling it first of all, and then I'll open up this file. Doesn't have anything in it, it's just totally blank, and I'll do a save as, and I think when I do the save as part, then I'm able to create a HTML from the text document. And the way that works is like this. I change this down here to all files, and then I put the extension on here, HTML, and that should work. Okay, so I got it. It's up here. And then I'll do likewise with the CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Change this to all files, change this to .css, and that should appear. So after this point, I don't really need, well, I need placeholders. I forgot to need placeholders. I need 2 placeholders. Because I got 2 different files to work with here. And I don't need this right now, so I'm just going to take and drag this away, because I'm working with just the HTML and the CSS. So I'll put the HTML right here, I'll put the CSS right here. Okay. Now in order to begin the coding process, I'm going to do this very basic, is make it bigger, and also make this guy bigger. Let me start off this way. exclamation point, doc type, space HTML, and then I might want to make it a little bit bigger so it appears bigger. Okay, then your HTML spaces are not here nor there. Head, and this is what you call opening of a heading, and then you close the heading by putting that little slash in there, and right in here you can put title, and then you can close up the title tags like that, and the link, you don't have to open and close link. You can say rel equals, and then a space h ref equals, and if you're attaching, let's say, this style sheet, you're able to link it by indicating hopefully I spelled that right. And let's say, for example, if the style sheet is same name, be index, you always got to put the extension CSS. Then below the head, we can put body, and then whatever goes in the body, you close out that, tag, put a slash in, and then you close up the HTML below that. Now this here, and when you do the links, you also can do links for JavaScript as well. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this guy blank. Well, wait a minute, hold it. Maybe I'll keep that in there. I'll just leave the name of it. I'm just going to get rid of this. Okay. So there you have it. Anytime you want to build a document from scratch, this is the format you use. And these spaces don't necessarily have to be there. They can be right under each other because it doesn't affect how the file is actually going to look. But I'm going to use this as my template and build upon the subsequent documents from it, so that, show you what I mean. I want to save this, close it out, and I didn't make any changes with this one here, and then I'll find a placeholder to open it up and drag it in here, and as you can see, it has everything in here the way that I had created it. Something else I like doing with these little exercises, being that they're only on the local drive and not uploaded at the moment to the website, then I have more freedom with how I name my files. Now, I usually consider the HTML to be the main file, but if you look, it appears second, the CSS appears above it. So sometimes I'll play around and I may do something like 01A, and that's my HTML.html, and then I'll call the CSS, since that's like an offshoot of the main file. I'll say b.css, and now they're in the order that I prefer, because the HTML is at the top, so it appears first, and the CSS is at the bottom, or is below that. And then later on, when I start doing JavaScript, I'll say something like 01C dot whatever the extension for JavaScript is. I can't remember off the top of my head. So if I bring up the HTML again, like I just did, swing that over here, it's there, and of course I'm going to enlarge it so it can be seen clearly. There it is. Next we can talk about actually testing a file using a web browser. And again, this doesn't have anything to do with anything that's on the internet yet. This is all local. But I can bring over Microsoft Edge and use that to test files. But just like this particular one says, https:// what you'll have up here in this particular bar here, it'll say c:/, because it's referencing something that's local. So for example, I can bring this HTML down here, and it did just what I said. It referenced it locally and what the name of it is, file-wise. So you can always swing an HTML document over to a web browser, be it Mozilla Firefox or Chrome, or in this case Microsoft Edge. Doesn't make any difference, but just to show you what happens when you start messing around with these HTML files and making changes in them, proving them, or however you want to say. I'm going to take this HTML, swing it down here, and I'm going to give it a title. And when you give it a title, it does affect how it appears in the web browser. So I'm going to say this is the title, and I'm going to save it by holding down Control and hitting save. Now when I bring that over, you'll see a little difference. Over here it says this is the title. Or I can say this is also the title. Save that, swing that over, this one. This is also the title. It appears right above there. Okay. Now, before we get into coding, I'm going to show you that where the coding goes. And where the coding goes is in the body section. So whatever coding I'm going to put in this is going to go between these body tags right here. So if I say some text here, and I say that, and swing it over, well, I can get rid of this up here, and then when I swing it over into the browser, you'll see it right here. It's not very big because it's not styled using Cascade style sheets, but it's there. And same thing if I make a change to that. And that shows up right here. We can include external cascading style sheets into the mix as well. So I'm going to take this CSS file here, bring it down here, and I'm going to link it to the main HTML file, o1b.css, and then I'm going to code in cascading style sheet format. So if I wanted the entire body, let's say, to be affected, well, before I do that, let's show you what I got here. By bringing what we already have, bringing this over, I have this thing. It says this is title, and then it says some more text here. So let's change it from some more text to some text here, or some text. And then I'll save the file, and then I'll refresh it here, and it just says some text. Now by default, unless you state otherwise, the default color of the font is black. Now if I wanted to style this, I could say something like writing in CSS, body, and I could say background color. And what this means is the entire document will have a background color of yellow, because these are linked. Now when I bring this over, the entire background is yellow. No matter how big or small, it's always going to be yellow. Now, so far, depending on what type of device you're using to view this, some of the text is probably really small. So I can also change the font size. Font size. Let's make it 25. That's about what the default is. Pixels. Save that, and then, oops, wrong one. So as you can see, it's a little bit bigger, but let's change it from 25 to double that. Let's say 50. And everything else the same. Boom. Now you probably can see it a lot better. Now let's change it to 200. And now it's really visible. So what the CSS cascading style sheet does is it adds definition and style to whatever the HTML file is. And some people, they'll do their styling right within the HTML, somewhere near the bottom, or somewhere near the top. I forget which, but for me, I prefer having the external files and using them that way. In addition to the local file structure, there's also the actual uploading of files, and that's where the CyberDuck application comes into play, which I'm opening up right now. And it's already connected. To show you what they look like locally, I'll use Edge again. And these were made a few weeks back. So if I swing this over here, and what it just says is Brooks Builders of Philadelphia, and that's the only thing that I have as far as my home page. No additional information. But up here, it's referencing it from the C drive. Now, I can go to the actual site just to show you that it has been uploaded. And in doing that, it looks like this. Exactly the same. But up in the heading, it says the actual website name. www.brooksbuildersofphiladelphia.com. And I'm going to say where those files are at, because they've been uploaded, and that's where CyberDuck comes into play. This is the index file, and this is the CSS file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all three of these. So that nothing appears. And then I'm going to create some new files. And creating and uploading the new files, because I'm no longer just operating locally, I have to stick to a specified naming convention. I can keep the well, this is the coding for the o1a.html file, and this is what it looks like, and this is the coding for the CSS as demonstrated previously. And using the local browser, or a browser to display the local files. I still have it like that. Now I'm going to make a couple of changes. I'm not going to make it 200. Let's see, go down to 100. And in addition to taking it down to 100, I'll also put this as index 01. So I've reduced the size, kept the background color as yellow, and changed the wording to, and I changed this to, this is index. And now that I have everything like I want it, I'll swing this over here, and it displays the way that I want it. This is index and index 01. And now the last step I need to do before I upload would be to change this to index, because it has to be index. And now I'm ready to upload. Clear out some space here, and find this. So I'm going to say upload, and I have to identify where I'm uploading from. I'm going to grab these two files here. It says choose, and then upload. Okay, so I got these uploaded, and now my home page on my website has changed. When I hit the website, I have the shortcut here. Oh, this brings up to the other issue that I have with SiteGround, is that latency thing. And that is a issue. I think what this web hosting may do is, or may be doing, is using shared servers. I've been a long-time customer of Yahoo as my web host for the Brook Studio site. I never ran into latency issues before, but it is a problem with this particular web hoster. So I had made myself some notes how to get around it, and I have to do something called flushing the cache. And because if I hit the refresh button, it's not going to refresh until I go into the SiteGround and follow these steps. So I have to select websites, and then from here I have to select Site Tools on the right, which is this one, and then left menu speed. I gotta go to speed here, and then I gotta go to caching, and then I gotta come down here to dynamic caching. Oh, dynamic caching here, and then I gotta say actions, this right here, flush cache. I got to do all of that for it to change this to what I just uploaded. Oh, wait a minute, hold it. Something else is different. Because I didn't put them in the right folder. I forgot to put them in the right folder. I got to do that as well. It's still not going to work. Yeah, because it just gives me the default thing. So I have to make sure that they're in the right folder. And the way I do that is I got to take them from where they're at, and I got to put them up here to that one. And then I got to refresh the cache again, I think. So, where are those steps that I just did? Oh, I got to open already, so I just say flush it. And then, let's see. Okay. So now my home screen looks like this. And that's the process that you basically have to go through, depending on if you're using CyberDuck or FileZilla or some other method of getting your files up on the internet. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these two that I just put up here. I thought that I had deleted them. Don't look like they deleted. Okay, now they're deleted. Okay. So keep an eye on this. I'm going to move it back and forth. And see, it's still not going to change because I haven't flushed it yet. So I got to go back and back to the site. And this is really a surprising nuisance that I got to flush this thing every time I want to refresh something. Now it's back to nothing because I don't have anything here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the files that were originally there and upload them again. And they'll be like this. And I'll take all three of these. And they automatically put them down here. Now I got to take them and I got to move them back up to here. And once I move them back up there, then they're in the right place. And I reflush the cache like that. And then I come over here and then I can do this. And it's back to the way it was before. So this was just kind of like my best effort of showing you what it takes to use some type of FTP program to get your files from your desktop up to the site. And I haven't really did anything as far as printing it up or using any JavaScript to make it interactive at all. There was a time when websites were the cat's meow businesses. Now they still are a important function, but with the advent of such things as LinkedIn and being able to communicate with that and text messages and all of that, then they are not as essential solely as they used to be. That's why I'm taking my sweet time and building up this thing and keeping it plain for the time being. because it's not like it's going to be drawing a lot of traffic anytime soon.